Hello, I am Pramod Kumar. Today we will study microeconomics and the chapter is the theory of the firm under perfect competition. Right? In that we will discuss three items. Determinants of a firm supply curve. Determinants means those factors, those forces which determine something. Second, market supply curve. And third, price elasticity of supply. Right? So we start with determinants of a firm supply curve. We have already studied that supply curve is a part of its marginal cost curve, right? We had seen this was ABC, this was SSC, and this was SMC, right? ABC, average variable cost, short run average cost, and short run marginal cost. And we had also seen that this line was the short run supply curve, this bold line, right? Where short run marginal curve was cutting the average variable cost at its lowest, right? And this is the short run supply curve. So when marginal cost goes up, suppose marginal cost goes up, then it will shift leftwards or upwards. When the marginal cost goes down, it will shift rightwards or downwards. Means at that particular price, the firm will be able to supply more goods when it shifts rightward or downward on account of decline in marginal cost. If marginal cost goes up, it will shift leftward or upwards, indicating that at any particular price level, the firm will be able to supply less, right? That we had seen. So, any factor that affects a firm's marginal cost, curve is a determinant of its supply curve. It determines its supply curve, whether it will go this way or that way or will be a straight, right? In this section we discuss three such factors: technological progress, input prices, and unit tax. Suppose today a firm is using only labor and capital, only two factors of production, and tomorrow or the day after some time, management takes some decisions and some technological improvements are there in the firm's system of production. Then what happens? The firm's output with the same level of inputs will increase, right? If the input level is retained the same, the output will increase. It means for the same level of output, the firm needs to have lesser amount of inputs. So what happens? The firm is in a position to supply more at that particular price level, because SMC marginal cost goes down and it shifts this way. So the firm will be able to supply more. And another is input prices. Suppose this is the short run supply curve. Input prices go up. Then what will happen? When the input prices go up, marginal cost will also go up. So what will happen? At that particular price level, the firm will be able to supply less. So when the input prices go up, short run marginal curve or supply curve shifts to the left, right? Or if input prices goes down, this supply curve shifts to the right or downwards, right? Then we go to the third item. Here you would have seen unit tax. Suppose government has imposed a tax of 2 rupees on per unit of production that I produce, and I produce 10 units, so I pay 20 rupees of unit tax, right? Tomorrow when the unit tax is increased, then what happens? I need to pay more, and the unit price of my product increases. So we have already discussed, when the price goes up, unit tax is increased, price goes up, it means average variable cost also will go up, and when the average variable cost goes up, marginal cost also goes up. So what happens? Here, suppose original price level was P0. This is the price level, and the quantity supplied was Q0, and this is the long run average cost. This one is the long run average cost at P0, right? And from below LRMC cuts it. So this is the point, okay? Then suppose unit tax is applied and the price becomes P0 plus T, it increases. So LRAC comes here. This is the LRAC, long run average cost. Here, this one, long run average cost, and from below long run marginal cost cuts it, right? So you will notice, which we discussed just now, that when the price goes up, cost goes up, marginal cost curve shifts leftward, right? If you compare this with this, price has increased from P0 to P0 plus T, and long run marginal cost has turned to the left. Vis-a-vis this LRMC, LRMC 0, LRMC 1 has turned to the left, right? It has turned to the left, right? And the level remains the same here, but supply curve goes up. Goes up means at the given price, the unit will be able to supply fewer units, or if it wants to continue the same number of units, it will result in more higher cost to that. It will not be at the same cost, right? So at P0, supply curve is LRMC 0. When the price is increased by infusion of or addition of that tax, T, unit tax, that LRMC or supply curve comes to the left, right? This is the unit tax. So it says long run supply curve of a firm is the rising part of the LRMC. Rising part of the LRMC. This is the long run supply curve before introduction of unit tax. This is after introduction of LRMC 1, right? Unit tax shifts the firm's long run supply curve to the left. Imposition of unit tax has shifted it to the left. LRMC 0 here, and after imposition it is here, right? So now we go to second item, market supply curve. What is market supply curve? It's very simple. Hypothetically, let us assume there are only 2 units in the market, unit 1 and unit 2, right? So what is the market supply? Supply at X price by unit 1, unit 2, unit 3, unit 4, unit n, if there are n number of units firms in the market, right? If we aggregate all those, it comes to market supply. So here you will see supply curve and unit tax. This comes out of this only, this one. Here unit tax is imposed, and what happens to the supply curve? As we had discussed, this supply curve, it shifts left. So before the introduction of unit tax, it is here. After introduction, it has gone to the left, shifted to the, and suppose this is the original price, so it is here, and when the price is reduced, it comes down rightwards. If you take original price as this and price increase, so supply curve shifts leftward. If you assume that this is the original price, supply curve is here, and if the price is reduced, it shifts to the rightwards, right? So what is market supply curve? Supply by the aggregate of supply by the n units in the market. Suppose unit 1, we will take only unit 2 units for the sake of simplicity. Unit 1 says, I will not supply anything if the price is below P1. So here you will find A means unit 1, we are talking of unit 1. It says, if the price is below P1 range, I will not supply anything. If the price is between P1 and P2, I will supply this much, right? So, above P1, this unit is able to supply, the supply curve of this unit is S1, right? Now let us take unit 2. It says, below P2, I will not supply anything. And we have assumed that P2 is more than P1. P2 is more than P1. So you will find O to P1 and P1 to P2, O to P2, there is no supply by unit 2. No supply. It supplies only when the price becomes P2 or greater, equal to P2 or greater. Unit 1 says, I will not supply if the price is below P1. I will supply only when the price is equal to P1 or greater. So it supplies. Here it doesn't supply, right? Unit 2 says, I will supply only when the price is equal to P2 or more. So up to P1 it doesn't supply. Less than P2 it doesn't supply. Equal to P2 and more it supplies. And the supply line is S2. So how do we get market supply? We get it by aggregating supply by these 2 units. We have assumed that there are only 2 units in the market. So how do we get it? Up to P1, neither of the units are willing to supply. They will not supply. Between P1 and P2, only unit 1 will supply, equal to P2 or more. Only unit 1 will supply. So this is the unit 1's supply curve in the market, in the aggregated sense of the things. And when we go beyond P2, both the units are ready to supply. So this is the combined supply curve of unit 1 and unit 2, right? Once again, here unit 1 says, in A, I will supply 0 if price is below P1. So it doesn't supply anything. It supplies only when it becomes equal to or more than P2. So from P2 it supplies S1. Unit 2 says, I will not supply anything below P2 price, if the market price is below P2. So it doesn't supply below P2. When it becomes P2 and more, it supplies, and that supply is S2. When we aggregate these, so what is the aggregation? Horizontal summation, right? Horizontal summation of the supply line of the units in the market. Suppose there are n units, so we will aggregate the horizontal summations of all those n units, unit 1, 2, 3, so on and unit n, right? So this is the market supply curve panel, okay? So next we go to, what do we do? Here we have obtained market supply, right? Here we have obtained market supply. This is supply by unit 1, supply by unit 2, or whatever, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, unit n. N is the last unit. And that way we aggregate the market supply of all the units, horizontal summations of the supply, market supply by the individual units. It results into aggregation and we come to market supply, right? Then after that, see, here you should not be confused. Equal to P1 and more, unit 1 will keep on supplying. Equal to P2 and more, unit 2 will keep on supplying, right? Below P1, unit 1 will not supply. Below P2, unit 2 will not supply. And here we aggregate the horizontal summations of these two and get the market supply, right? Then we go to price elasticity of supply, right? So we will rub it off. Price elasticity of supply. What is price elasticity of supply? It's very simple. Responsiveness of supply to the change in price, right? In the simplest language, price elasticity of supply is defined as responsiveness of supply to change in price, right? And we can write it like this: price elasticity of supply is equal to percentage change in supply upon percentage change in price. So what is percentage change in supply? Percentage change in supply or quantity supplied upon percentage change in price, right? So how do we get it? Suppose initially quantity supplied is Q0 and it increases to Q1, right? Is equal to 100 into Q1 minus Q0 upon Q0, right? 100 into increased supply minus original supply upon original supply upon 100 into P1 minus P0 upon P0, right? Very simple. And what it comes to? What does it come to? Q1 upon Q0 minus 1. Q1 upon Q0 minus 1 upon P1 upon P0 minus 1. That's the formula, right? Here we come to. Now let us assume that in the market the rate is 10 rupees. Suppose the market is of a pen. Pens, we are talking of a commodity pen, this pen. So price is 10 rupees, right? Quantity supplied is 100, right? Then it changes to 15 rupees and quantity supplied becomes 150. So how do we get this price elasticity of supply, right? What is the change in quantity supplied? How do we get it? We have already seen here Q1 upon Q0 minus 1. What is Q1? 15 upon Q0 10 minus 1 upon P1 minus P0 150 minus, sorry, Q, we have to do it, I did it the other way around, right? Let us go to it. Q1 upon Q0, Q1 150 upon Q0 100 minus 1, right? P1 upon P0 minus 1. P1 is 15 upon P0 minus 1. What do we get it? 50 minus 1. And here what do we get it? 5 minus 1. 49 upon 4. Right? What are we doing? Q1 upon Q0 minus 1, P1 upon P0 minus 1. So price was 10, quantity was 100, price became 15, quantity became 150, right? So Q1 upon Q0, 150, sorry, this is 1.5. That's why I was wondering why this figure is coming. 150 upon 100, 1.5 minus 1. So it comes to 0.50, right? 150 upon 100, 1.50 minus 1. 15 upon 10, this also 1.50, 1.50 minus 1 is equal to 0.5. So price elasticity of demand is equal to 1, right? Let us change this in order to make it better, so that we can do it in a, when the price is 10, quantity supplied is 100. When the price increases to 15, quantity supplied becomes 200, right? So here Q1 upon Q0 minus 1, Q1 upon Q0, 200 upon 100, 2 minus 1 is equal to 1. P1 upon P0 minus 1, 15 upon 10, 1.5 minus 1, 0.5 is equal to 2. So here price elasticity of supply is equal to 2. Once again, here also unit doesn't matter, whether this is in rupees or dollar or pound, it doesn't matter. Whether the quantity is in kilos, liters, numbers, meters, it doesn't matter, right? So this is how we calculate price elasticity of supply, right? Price elasticity of supply is responsiveness of supply to change in price. Percentage change in quantity divided by percentage change in price. Right? We can see it through one geometric method also. Here you will see O, and this is price and this is output. So when the price is P0, here P0, we are going it like this, right? This line goes like this, supply curve. This is the supply curve here. So here what is happening? What is happening? This is Q. Q0, price, and this is the supply line, and here it is M. It is cutting. It is cutting it like this, right? So what do we see here? We see that this supply line has cut the price line in a positive, at a positive point. Price is 0 here. If we go up, it becomes positive. So here the supply line has cut the price line in a positive area, right? And here what do we see? OQ0, and this point where it has touched the output line is M. So elasticity, price elasticity of supply is calculated as MQ0 upon OQ0, right? MQ0 upon OQ0. So here you will find MQ0 is greater than OQ0. So what happens? Price elasticity is greater than 1, right? The supply line cuts the price line in a positive area and the output in a negative area. Here output was 0 and here it becomes positive and increases. This way it is negative. The supply line has cut the price line in positive area and the output line is negative area. And how do we calculate it? MQ0 upon OQ0. So you will find that the area of MQ0 is greater than the area of OQ0. So price elasticity of supply will be more than 1, right? Greater than 1. We can see the second condition, O output, and here it is price. So here you will find it is like this. This is the price, this is quantity, and supply line cuts it at such a place that M is not visible. It means M is here. It means M is here where O lies. O lies. So they have converged. OQ0 and MQ0 are the same. So here MQ0, M has submerged here. It has cut at this point. It has submerged with O. MQ0 is equal to OQ0. So what will be the price elasticity of supply? 1. Third condition will be like this. O output, price, here is P0, and what happens here? Where does it cut? It cuts this line here. This is the supply line. It is cutting it here. So what is happening? This is the negative area of the price, right? This area M, this M is negative area of the price, right? So what happens here? Let us take MQ0. See, you should not get confused. This is O, right? OQ0, OP0, supply line, and supply line cuts the output area here and price here, right? So output area, it has cut in the positive area. Output is 0 here and increases here, it cuts it here. But price it has cut in the negative area, below 0. So what happens? MQ0 here is less than OQ0. So price elasticity of supply will be less than 1. Right? Here supply line has cut price line in a positive area, right? And what happens? MQ0 upon OQ0. MQ0 is larger than OQ0, so price elasticity will be more than 1. Here M has converged with O. It has cut in such a way. So MQ0 is equal to OQ0, so price elasticity of supply is equal to 1. And here it has cut price axis in a negative way and output in the positive here. From here output, so it is positive. From here price, so this is negative. So here MQ0 is less than OQ0. So price elasticity of supply is less than 1. Right? So we have studied 3 things. Determinants of a firm supply curve, 3 things were there. Technological progress, input prices and unit tax. Market supply curve, aggregation of the individual supply firm supply curve becomes market supply curve. And then we have studied price elasticity of supply, responsiveness of supply, quantity supplied to change in price. Okay, I hope you found it easy to understand. In case of any difficulty, you may please approach me on my email ID, which will be there at the thumbnail to the video. Thank you.